We'll turn over to begin. After years of incarceration in the depths of the dark castle, you finally break free of your cell. In a small stone room adjoining the cell block stands an old wooden chest. The lock is open. Draw an item card per player now. We'll draw 4 item cards. We'll take a look at these and decide who gets what. We have a stale loaf of bread. We can discard it to restore 2 hit points. The Fury Shard. When you roll a double in combat, you may roll a second time, applying both results. The Effervescent Evasion. It's a potion that when you would take damage, you can discard it to avoid that damage. And an Elixir of Insight, a potion that we can discard before any round of combat to change any 1 chapter dice to show a trait of your choice. That doesn't make a lot of sense right now because I haven't talked about chapter dice, but we will when we have to encounter them. You hear footsteps approaching. You must not linger here. You make for the exit, slipping away and disappearing into the darkness. Turn the first chapter card now. Before I turn that chapter card, I'll show you what I assigned as far as items. The cook has the stale loaf of bread, the tailor, the elixir of insight, the smith, the fury shard, and the abbot, the effervescent evasion. Right now, it's not really that important as to who gets what because everyone has the same amount of health and nobody's carrying any special weapons or any other items that would make these more important at the moment. So I just divided them up evenly and gave 1 to each player. But now we will turn to the next chapter card. But before we do that, we have to designate who is turning that card. In this case, I'll just have it be the cook. Your boot catches a tripwire, releasing a shower of acid from above. All players must try to roll cunning in 1 attempt for each player. If we succeed, we dodge the trap. If we fail, the acid splash begins to sizzle and smoke, burning through an item you are carrying. Discard 1 item. I don't have 2 items, so I don't have to worry about that. And nobody has none, so no one's going to lose a hit point, but we may lose our items right away. So each character will roll their character die, and the symbols on the dice are might. Then you'll see cunning, that's a double cunning, and wisdom. Everyone has to try to roll cunning of some kind. The smith and the abbot both only have 1 cunning, so their chances are not good. So we'll grab all 4 player dice, give them a roll, and only the tailor was able to roll cunning. That is very unfortunate. The tailor was the only one that avoided the trap. The cook, the smith, and the abbot all lost their items to the acid trap. Now we will move on to our next card. Again, we'll have the cook turn the card since everyone is still equal. Without warning, a swarm of giant bats bursts into the passageway. You can only cower beneath the overwhelming blur of wing and fang. As the bats swarm past, each player in turn must roll their character die along with 3 chapter dice. After rolling, a player loses 1 hit point for each chapter dice that matches their character die. If a player rolls a double or rolls no matches, they are unharmed by the bats. We will start with the cook. She matched 1 might, so she will take 1 damage, taking her down to 11. Next we have the tailor. She rolled doubles with the shield, so she is unharmed. Next, the smith also rolled a double and is unharmed. And finally, the abbot also rolled a double and is unharmed. Not too bad. Only the cook took a wound. So for the next card, we'll have the tailor be the one that opens. This passageway leads to a set of old stone steps. They descend into a flooded cave. The water is murky, but a dim light is visible some distance below. You take a deep breath and dive, kicking towards the light. Each player must try to roll a double in one attempt. Success, you make it through, surfacing on the other side. Failure, you begin to flounder, lose a hit point, and try again. After 3 failed attempts, you eventually make it through, breathless and exhausted. Here is our first attempt. Hopefully we get all doubles. No, the only person that made it was the tailor. The tailor swam through unharmed, did not take a wound. The cook, smith, and abbot all took a wound. The cook is at 10. The smith and the abbot are now at 11. Here is our second round of attempts. Another set of doubles by the abbot. The abbot managed to swim through, but the cook and the smith floundered again. The cook down to 9, the smith down to 10. This will be the third and final attempt. Can the cook and the smith save themselves a hit point? Yes, they both can. They both rolled a double. After swimming through that underground passageway to our next area, the cook is at 9, tailor at 12, smith at 10, and the abbot at 11. In this case, I will have the tailor turn the next card because she is the healthiest. You hear a wet, slithering sound. It seems to be coming from within the walls. As you lean in to listen, a disgusting creature bursts through the stonework, bile oozing from its gaping mouth, and it lunges to devour you. Any player who cannot roll a double in one attempt is struck by flying debris and loses a hit point. So we'll do that first, and then we'll explain combat. Everyone gets one attempt to roll a double. Well, there's 2 of them here. The tailor and the cook have avoided the debris, but the smith and the abbot will take a wound, taking the smith down to 9 and the abbot down to 10. We'll now get ready to engage in combat. You see these symbols at the bottom of the card. Bring it a little closer. We have a cunning symbol, 2 wisdom, and then this little player symbol. Those symbols mean that we will place these chapter dice with those symbols face up under the card, and these are the dice that we're going to have to defeat. The player symbol means we roll an additional die for each player. So we'll roll 4 more dice, and then we'll add them, 3 cunning and a might, to the existing pool. And these will now be the dice we have to clear in order to defeat this monster. And you can also see down in the bottom right corner there is a number 2, and that is the damage the creature does. And I'll explain that when someone gets hurt. What we will now do is roll our dice simultaneously, and whatever results come up on our dice, we're able to remove those symbols from the creature. If we roll a shield around any of the symbols, that means we defended. If at the end of the combat there are any of these dice left, the creature lives and then does its damage that's on the card. Anybody that was unable to defend or roll a shield will take that damage at that time. A player can sit a combat round out and rest. If they rest, they do not get to roll their die, but they will regain 1 hit point. Only 1 player can sit out each round, but you can switch it back and forth between the rounds. Currently we have a cook at 9, a tailor at 12, smith at 9, and the abbot at 10. We're going to keep them all in at this moment because we have 7 dice to overcome. So we'll collect the 4 player dice and get ready to roll. And we have 3 wisdom, 2 cunning, and a might. The cook and the tailor rolled shields, and successfully defended against any damage coming. We can remove 1 might, 3 total wisdom, there are only 2, and 2 cunning, leaving us with 2 cunning remaining. Since we did not clear all of the chapter dice out, the creature does its damage of 2 to the smith and the abbot because they did not roll a shield. The smith is now down to 7, the abbot is now down to 8. The cook and the tailor have 9 and 12, and they both have good cunning scores, where the smith and the abbot are both low in cunning. But I can only sit 1 out, so before we begin the next round, the smith is the lowest. We'll have him sit out, and we'll go to the next round. And that is a great result. We needed 2 cunning, and we scored 3. We were able to remove the remaining cunning from that creature and have defeated it. If you defeat the creature, you don't do the damage at the end of the round. The smith did gain 1 hit point back and is back up to 8. And when you defeat a monster, you can draw 1 card. And it is the cracked axe. It's a 2-handed weapon. In combat, roll a chapter dice along with your character dice each time you attack. Apply both results. We'll give this to our strongest character, the tailor. She can carry that 1 item now, so we'll move the elixir of insight over to the cook. And before we turn our next card, our status is cook at 9, tailor at 12, smith at 8, and the abbot at 8. We will have the tailor open the next card because she is the strongest. Bringing his cart to a halt beside you, an intriguing stranger insists you sample his latest brew. A healing elixir, he claims. A spiked club dangles from his belt, and, keen as you are to move on, you feel it would be unwise to refuse. How bad can it be? You must choose one option. Sip a small amount to gain 1 hit point. Take a long draw. Try to roll might in 1 attempt. The elixir warms your innards and you will gain 3 hit points. If you fail, it is foul-smelling and toxic. You vomit and lose a hit point. I'm not desperate at this time, so I'm going to go ahead and just take a small sip. Well, it says you in bold, which means this applies only to the tailor. She's already at 12, so I'll choose to take a small sip, gain a hit point, but I can't go above 12. That's okay, we didn't lose anything. We'll move on to the next area, having the tailor open it also. As you pass a heavy wooden door, it flies open and a ragged madman bursts through. He wields his shackles as a weapon, and his crazed stare sends a clear message. You stand between him and freedom. You must try to roll might or a double in 1 attempt. Success. You manage to deflect his wild flailing. Begin combat. You are smashed aside, lose 2 hit points, and begin combat. Again it says you, so that means the tailor has to try, and she only has 1 might. But she has 2 doubles on her dice, so she has a 50-50 shot here. No luck. She takes 2 damage and is down to 10. We will set up for combat with 1 might and 1 cunning, and then we have to roll 4 dice and see what we need to add on. 3 wisdom and 1 cunning. Her tailor does have the cracked axe, so she can roll 1 of the chapter dice along with her character die. Everybody is fairly even, 9, 10, 8, and 8. So we'll all participate in the first combat round. Everybody has their die. The tailor gets a chapter die. We ended with 3 wisdom, 3 cunning, and a might. And I think that is a spectacular result because the 1 might allows us to remove that might. 3 wisdom. There are 3 wisdom on the card. And we have 3 cunning with 2 remaining, and we managed to defeat the crazed prisoner without taking a single wound at that. We get 1 item, It is another Elixir of Insight. Discard before any round of combat to change any one chapter dice to show a trait of your choice. We'll let the Smith hold on to that. We'll move forward and have the Cook open the next card. At the end of this passage is an old stone well. As you reach in to test the water, it thrashes in a violent torrent. You have disturbed a malevolent spirit. Begin combat. Combat special. You, being the Cook, are incapacitated for the first round of combat, during which you do not fight and may not rest, but still take damage as normal. You recover at the beginning of the second round. That's unfortunate for the Cook, but the Tailor, Smith, and Abbott can all take part in the combat. We have 1 Cunning and 1 Wisdom to start. And to that we will add 2 more Wisdom and a Might and a Cunning. We're all set now. We have a creature with 3 Wisdom, 1 Might, and 2 Cunning. The Cook has to sit this round out. The Tailor, Smith, and Abbott can all take part. Don't want to forget my cracked axe that the Tailor has. Wow, that is a spectacular result also. Look at all that defense. We almost pulled this off in 1 round again. We have 3 Might. That'll take care of the 1 for sure. 2 Wisdom, 2 Cunning, leaving only 1 Wisdom behind, which means the Cook will have to take 2 damage, and her hit points are now down to 7. With the Cook down to 7 being the lowest, I'm going to have her sit this next round out. She has a really low Wisdom anyway, and we'll have the Tailor, Smith, and Abbott roll to try and get at least 1 Wisdom. Easily, we got 3 Wisdom, and the creature is defeated. The Cook rested and will now be at 8 hit points, and we can draw 1 item. And it is the Rotten Shield. Whenever you take damage, reduce the amount by 1 down to a minimum of 1. I gave the shield to the Abbott. These 3 players are at 8 health apiece. The Tailor is still at 10. And should I have the Tailor open the next card because she's the highest, or maybe the Abbott because of the shield? I think I'll take my chances with the Abbott. Several armed figures spring from the shadows and attack. You become separated and each fight alone. Roll a chapter die in front of each player to represent the mugger attacking them. The muggers want your items. Players carrying 2 items roll 2 dice instead of 1. Well, luckily nobody has 2. Begin combat. Combat special. No player can rest until the muggers attacking them are defeated. They may then help another player defeat theirs. A player aiding another takes damage as normal and must declare who they are aiding before they roll. Each time a player would take damage from a mugger, they may avoid it by discarding an item. And the muggers do 1 damage. We'll roll a chapter die for each player in order. The Cook is dealing with Might. The Tailor, also Might. The Smith, Cunning. And the Abbott, also Cunning. That was quite an unlucky roll, with the exception of the Cook, who has Might at her top asset. The Tailor, Smith, and Abbott all rolled what they have only 1 of on their die, except the Tailor does get to roll an additional die with that cracked axe. So we'll start with the Cook. The Cook is rolling against Might and is highly successful. The Tailor is also rolling against Might, but lucky for her, she has the cracked axe, so she has a little bit more chance. Ooh, no luck. It's going to take a wound, taking her down to 9. The Smith is rolling against Cunning. No luck, and is down to 7 hit points. And the last one of this first round of combat, the Abbott, is also going against Cunning. Oh, and nails it. After the first round, the Cook and the Abbott were both successful. The Tailor and Smith are not. For this next round, I will have the cook help the smith because of the cunning, and the abbot, I'll have him come over here and help the tailor. The tailor, assisted by the abbot, are going after this mugger with the result of might. Oof, got lucky. There we go. Thank you, abbot. And our last mugger with the cunning symbol attacking the smith, assisted by the cook. Oh, that's not good. The smith did defend himself, but the cook helping out will take a wound, taking her down to 7. We have one mugger remaining with the cunning symbol. I'm going to have the cook sit out even though she has decent cunning because she is the lowest health with 7. And the tailor and abbot will assist the smith. We need one cunning symbol. And we got 2. That'll work. The muggers have been defeated. The cook was able to rest and get herself back up to 8. We can draw an item. And it is a stale loaf of bread. Discard to restore 2 hit points to your character. I'll give that to the smith for now since he's the lowest at 7. Our current status is cook with 8 hit points, tailor with 9, the smith with 7, and the abbot with 8. I'll have the abbot open the next card because he has the shield.